then we do this thing with Instagram. So, yep, get that mic nice up and close to your mouth. And then here we go. We'll go live on the Insta.
On the Insta.
There we go. Go live on Instagram. Okay. And 3, 2, and 1. You're listening to the Grow Clinton podcast. Grow Clinton is a 501c6 nonprofit economic community development and tourism organization based in Clinton, Iowa. For more information, visit growclinton.com. Again, that's growclinton.com. Now, back to the show. Well, hello, everybody, and welcome back to the greatest podcast on the planet Earth. I think it is.
Oh, yeah.
My name is Andy Sokolovich, and you're listening to the Grow Clinton podcast. Grow Clinton is a nonprofit organization located in Clinton, Iowa, where we focus on community, economic development, and tourism. As always, I said my name already, Andy Sokolovich, President and CEO, Grow Clinton, joined by Jenny Home from our office. Jenny, what's happening?
Fly, Eagles, fly.
You know that my blood is still pumping. Fly, Eagles, fly. That's right. Not only did they win, but they won by just demolishing their opponent. It was like watching something out of this world.
I thought, is this really a Super Bowl?
I could tell that when my Philadelphia Eagles, that's right, mine.
Yeah, they're his.
Came onto the field, they were charged. They were pumped. They were excited. They were motivated, and they came out there to prove themselves victorious and left zero doubt.
No doubt
that they are world champions.
And Saquon Barkley. I mean, how can you?
All of them. All of them did a phenomenal defense.
Man.
And then, right here in the great state of Iowa, we had a player by the name of Cooper DeJean.
Yes.
That played for the University of Iowa Hawkeyes.
So proud.
Rookie year, standout safety. Did a phenomenal job. Not only is it his rookie year, but he played in his very first Super Bowl, and he had a pick 6 on his birthday.
On his birthday. Where do you go from there?
I don't know.
Geez, if it just keeps going up, what does that mean?
Well, so fly, Eagles,
yes.
fly. Yes, I'm very excited. You know what else I'm really excited about, Jenny?
What?
High-speed fiber internet. That's right, folks. Here at Grow Clinton, we are powered by Miles Communications. Check them out, milestelephone.com, milestelephone.com, supporting all of your high-speed internet needs. And then, boom, right there's the logo behind me. Milestelephone.com, also offering telephone and television services. I'm really excited about today's guest.
I am too, and I'm excited about the subject.
He's a repeat guest. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Charlie Minnick is in the house to talk about Leadership Unlocked Part 2, where we're talking about the dark side of leadership. Charlie, thanks so much for joining us.
Hey, my pleasure. Nice job of teeing up the boss, though.
There you go. Hey, thank you.
Yeah.
That's my job.
Fly, Eagles, fly. I promise this episode will not be entirely about the Philadelphia Eagles. That's right. Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles.
Super Bowl champion.
We're going to talk about leadership, but what meshes better than professional sports and leadership?
True.
And I think this next category as part of our Leadership Unlocked series is going to be amazing. So, Charlie, tell us more about Leadership Unlocked and what we can expect coming up on the 19th of Feb.
Yeah, so I think in general with Leadership Unlocked, we, like I said, I started talking with you and Matt. This was a long time ago, probably a year or so ago, about how do we kind of, from my end, give back to the community in a meaningful sort of way. And so we talked about different ways, and then probably at the golf outing, I think, in the summer, we started.
All good things happen on
the golf outing. It wasn't 180 degrees this year. So
and my golf game was garbage, but still, we made
something
some
good came out of it.
Yeah, so we started talking about the leadership thing. So that's how it came to fruition. So we're doing one a month for the whole year of 2025. And the month in February, we're going to talk about kind of an interesting topic. It's about kind of the dark side of leadership. So we talk a lot about inspirations and good stuff, and fly Eagles and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. But I think this side we're going to talk a little bit about some shadows and some of that sort of thing we'll talk about. So
that's something that needs to be addressed too, because like you said, it can all be so inspirational and everything, but what happens when you hit hit that speed bump.
Yeah, and that's
You hit a
reality.
wall.
You hit a
Hit a
wall.
wall.
Yeah, and that's
Yes.
reality. So we try to deal with all the realities of organizations. And I found over the years that the best part of organizations is that everybody's different. The most challenging part is everybody's different.
Right.
So how do you deal with all these different personalities? So also I think we found that, leadership's a skill set and a process, not a position, I found over the years. And I think it's also the interaction between leaders, followers, and the situation that we're in. So, and I think followers can either be inspired, pushed away, demoralized, or, motivated, that type of stuff, by whatever energy and character the leader puts forth. So,
Yeah.
And I think if we talk about the dark side, if we go back a little bit, I think we have to figure out, so why do people get promoted? There's lots of reasons people get promoted, I think. So
Yeah.
hopefully, first of all, it's a skill set, hopefully. Secondly, there's some people are good because they're politically savvy.
Yeah.
They make the connections, they know
Right.
this person, so they're politically savvy on how they do stuff. Some people are really good at self-promotion. Look at me, look at me, look at me. It becomes about you. Some people are good at that.
I've worked for leaders like that.
Yeah, some people are kind of intimidating, so they bull their way in. I think organizations sometimes get into the warm body syndrome, meaning that we have this position that we have to fill, so we need to make sure we fill it quickly.
Right away.
Yeah, we want to. I think we want to be, we want to move forward, but we don't want to get into just get a body to fill the position.
Yeah.
And then we make bad choices sometimes, is what happens. Like the connections, I think sometimes it's longevity. Someone's been here a long time, so it's their turn
Right.
to get promoted. Not always the best place. And there's also something called the Peter Principle.
Ooh, what is that?
The
Yeah.
Peter Principle is this. It's where people get promoted to their level of incompetence. So I've seen it with like salespeople sometimes. So somebody can be a really good salesperson, but that doesn't necessarily make them a good sales manager.
Right.
It's a different skill set,
see.
different process between getting results for yourself and then getting results through other people.
Yeah.
So sometimes we promote people to the level of incompetence. And
I see.
I have to give you a really interesting story. I worked many, many years ago. I used to work in a jewelry store.
Okay.
Many, many, many years ago.
Didn't
when
know
my hair
that.
was darker, all those types of things. Yeah, long time ago. So I worked with this guy. So he got promoted to this store manager thing because he was a fantastic salesman. I mean, as the saying goes, this guy could sell an Eskimo an ice cube or something like that. He was
Right,
really,
yeah.
really fantastic. But then when he got to supervising other people, gotten promoted and trying to get results with other people, it was just a disaster.
Oh.
It's because he didn't have the skill set to inspire, coach, train, develop other people. And it got so bad that one time when he was, because he had monthly sales quotas, what he would do, and it was so bad, is that towards the end of the month, he would buy stuff as his own credit card and then return it the next month.
Yeah, that's no bueno.
Yeah, that's a bad deal. And by the way, the dude still owes me $40. So.
Yeah. We'll find him for you, Charlie. We'll find him.
Yeah, Chuck, put that. You can write that one off. So, but that's what example I saw firsthand of the Peter Principle.
Yeah.
He was a great salesperson, but he didn't have the skill set to, coach, develop, train, lead other people. So it was a disaster.
So, Charlie, coming up on the 19th from 2 to 3 p.m., Leadership Unlocked, Part 2, the dark side of leadership is what we're talking about today with Dr. Charlie Minnick. This is a no-cost opportunity for you to sharpen and hone your leadership abilities. Again, no cost. And not only that, you have two ways to participate. You can either register and come to the event here at Grow Clinton at our office at 721 South 2nd Street, or you can just tune in virtually via Microsoft Teams. We'll be doing a Teams link. And actually, I believe both presenters this time around are virtual, correct?
Yeah. One of our presenters, so Bill Davis, people know that. Bill lives
Know him well.
Bill lives in Rock Island. And my other presenter I've known a long time lives in San Diego. So we'll be beaming people in from different places.
Yeah,
So,
very cool.
So we'll do that kind of stuff. So.
And if you're interested in registering, you can go to growclinton.com, click the drop down. We have an events tab and we have a calendar. You can just go on there, click the link Leadership Unlocked Part 2, again on the 19th of February. Registration is easy and it's free.
free. Can't beat
Yeah,
that.
you cannot beat free
You
leadership
can,
instruction.
especially with quality programming. That's crazy.
You know, and I
That's right.
think, it's not just free because it's not worth something. It is free because Charlie, who's had decades of leadership experience, and his team of presenters want to give back to the developing leadership community here in Clinton and the surrounding area. And so they're doing this at no cost to us at Grow Clinton and no cost to you as a participant. So we want to just thank you, Charlie, for your willingness to make sure that everybody has the opportunity to learn about leadership development.
Right.
Yeah, I think we all get where we are in life because people believe in us, give us opportunities and chances and insights. So
And dedication to the community.
yeah, and I think at this point in my life, there's two things that I try to put a lot of my time into outside of work. It's giving back to the community and what can you do to develop kids, the youth. I think those are two areas that are really, really, really important. So that's where I try to focus a lot of my energy moving forward.
And that's what they say about people who have lived a life that has been well developed and still want to learn, is that they care about youth.
Yeah, I think they're really our future. Kids are our future, and we have to. How do we try to make them grow and develop and be successful? Give them opportunities and all those type of things.
Yeah.
'Cause some kids come from a really kind of a tough environment. So how do we help those kids do that? So that's why I try to put a lot of my time and effort as best I can into things we can do.
Appreciated.
So Charlie, back to the dark side of
Yeah.
leadership. And I too have experienced this, having leadership
Yeah.
roles in the military and now as a civilian. There's times where taking a position of leadership usually results in higher pay, but with it comes a tremendous amount of responsibility and an expectation that you meet those responsibilities and you develop those underneath you. But we're talking about what the potential for possibly burnout.
Right.
Yeah, I think burnout's part of it. I think part of it is, sometimes people head to the dark side a little bit because they might have good intentions, but sometimes different things, intervening variables come into it. There's internal pressures, there's external pressures that come into it that causes people to change their behavior and sometimes behave in a different way. So
What do you see as most common? I mean, what causes burnout? What is the most common thing
I
for
think
that?
the hardest part is all the different roles that we have to play.
Yep.
Right.
There's only 168 hours in a week. That's all there is, no more, no less.
Right.
And you think about all the different roles that people play, spouse and friend, employee, aunt, uncle, whatever, my employee. And, you figure if he's worked 40 hours a week, you sleep 6-7 hours a week. Oh my God, half my week is gone. All I've done nothing is work and sleep.
Right.
What about this other stuff? How do I do all that? So
Yeah, the important
I think that
things
causes
in
the
life.
trouble. I think that's what causes so much burnout, and then we start to take from like the sleep stuff. We don't sleep as much. We take shortcuts sometimes to behaviors because there's so much pressure to get stuff done, and this is going on, that's going on. So sometimes we take shortcuts.
Yeah, and
in
there's got to be
behaviors.
a healthy balance there
Yeah.
too. And we talk a lot about, and it's kind of just a buzz phrase, work-life balance, but that's a reality. And I've worked with some leaders in the past who put in so many hours, and they do so without even being effective or completing anything. But they put in the hours because they feel like it makes them look like a hard worker.
Yeah.
So I'm a firm believer in the fact that you can put in a solid 40-hour work week and get a lot of things accomplished if you're effective, if you can manage your time, and that's fine. But if you can do it in less than 40 hours,
why not?
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
You don't need to prove yourself by saying, well, I was here for 10 hours yesterday, or I was here for 12 hours, or I came in over the weekend.
Proof is in the work.
Nobody cares unless you can actually have results to show for it.
Yeah, that's what it's about. How do you what's the result to produce? And I think from a leadership standpoint too, it doesn't have to be about you. It's because we have effective groups and teams. You kind of get that reflective sort of praise in a way because your group and teams are doing well, which is a reflection of you. And it works the other way too. I think you can walk into places, you go, man, you can feel the tension kind of with a knife. Things are not good here. You can just tell it. But you can also tell when things are cooking and going well and all that kind of stuff. And a lot of it has to do with the culture and the energy that the leader presents or doesn't present.
So if you're a leader, what do you think is the first probably there are several, but what's the first sign of burnout? When should you start saying, look, I need to do something?
I mean, I think part of it is I think it's inside in some ways. You can tell when you've got competing priorities, or if you become short at things you don't normally become short at. People become, they snap at people, all those type of things. You can tell when people's behavior changes a little bit. It becomes stressed. You don't sleep well. You don't eat well. All those type of things. And sometimes you work longer, but you talk not more productive.
Right.
It's just longer. Like longer is longer. Longer is not necessarily better.
Right.
Yeah,
So
if I'm
you
cranking out widgets and I have to meet a goal,
Yeah.
longer is going to be more productive.
Yeah.
But if I'm managing a team and trying to accomplish tasks, I want myself and my team to be effective, but also to pace themselves in a way where they can get things done efficiently. And, you bring this up, Charlie, and I'm going through this leadership course as part of the Association of Chamber of Commerce Executives. And one of the things that I had to do recently was I had to ask 2 questions of a peer or somebody who worked with me. And they were very revealing questions. One was, when I'm performing at my best, how can you tell? And 2 is, when I'm performing at my worst, basically, what do you see for me at that point? And I had somebody in our office fill it out, and that individual basically said that, and I will own this, that often because of the level of, let's just call it stress or anxiety or just workload, there's times where I come in and some people in our staff feel that I'm unapproachable, just because my demeanor changes. Because I'm a naturally outgoing person, when I feel consumed by my work, I kind of like wither in a little bit and I retract from the staff, and they don't always know which version of Andy they're going to get. Is he going to come in and be happy-go-lucky, or is he going to come in and be a sourpuss? And those are things that, and it doesn't happen often, but those are things that I feel the feedback to me was invaluable, because it was very eye-opening to realize that people viewed me in that way, and I need to be cautious as a leader. Even if I'm in a bad mood, I'm not saying you got to slap on a happy face, but you got to realize that your emotions are impacting the rest of the team.
Yeah. I mean, nobody wants to work for Sybil.
Yeah.
Right.
No.
I mean, you don't know what you're going to get one
Yeah.
day versus the. I mean, nobody wants to. But I think that's a cool exercise, and I think it's good that when you get to a certain level of trust within a team, where people are able to tell you that.
Yeah.
Are you okay, man? You seem a little tight. You seem nervous. You okay? Is everything good? That's because I think feedback is many times what we need to hear, not always what we want to hear.
Right.
Right.
We don't always want to hear things aren't going so well, but sometimes we really need to hear things aren't going so well. But I think when you have that level of trust and communication within your team, I mean, that's pretty cool.
Right.
When you can have that, as opposed to people going, that fake sort of agreement.
Stay away.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And I've worked for leaders that come in, they close the door. You don't see them. Actually, in this office, not too long ago, well, I'll say, a better part of a decade ago, I worked for a leader that would come in, close their door,
No.
and you would see them on their way
No.
out to lunch, and you'd see them come back, no communication. Not only that, but they would actually close the door in their office, and this is in this building,
Yeah.
and then call me at my desk to tell me something while our offices were 20 feet
Nice.
apart.
No.
Call me via the telephone
Come
to tell me something.
on.
That's
Oh,
where
come on.
you have
Yeah.
to be. But
that's not good.
that individual could have been under some stresses, but that's not the way to handle it.
No.
Yeah, that's not the way they handle. So,
And it's true too. I mean, you can't take, like, let's say you have stress in your job that your team doesn't know about, but also maybe you have some at home,
Absolutely.
and it's hard to, you can't take it out on them.
it's hard to
you know,
compartmentalize
and it's hard.
stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, our world,
That's the
bleeds
word.
over. It's just
Yep.
hard to compartmentalize. And the work from home scenario has made that even worse.
Yeah.
Because
Get
you're
out of-
right there all the time. So.
Right.
So again, we're talking to Dr. Charlie Minnick, who is the host and partner with Grow Clinton to offer Leadership Unlocked. This is a series that we're doing every month for the duration of the year. We have the next one coming up on February 19th from 2 to 3. It is a free event. You can either attend in person, or after registering, you will receive a link to MS Teams so you can participate virtually.
Yeah, so so the presentation, and I won't give it all away because I want them to, but they're going to talk about shadows from the dark side that people have a little bit. Things like irresponsibility, privilege, inconsistency, those type of things that leaders show that are shadows that can have a negative effect on people, organizations. It's like I said, I think most things with organization life in general, what we see as symptoms of problem is not really the problem. Like if you have high blood pressure, that's not really the problem, it's a symptom of a problem. So if you got really disconnected, disengaged, unhappy people, that's not really the problem. It's a symptom of a problem. See, if you dig down and get into the why, then you try to get that. And I think if we've been on groups and teams, and you ever been in the same meeting, we talked about the same thing over and over and over. It's because you never solved the problem. You tried to solve a symptom of a problem.
Right. Just keep going.
So I think we'll talk about those kind of things a little bit. And what influence did those things have? There's like 6 that they'll talk about altogether. But what kind of influence did those shadows have on followers? How does it impact people when people behave that way?
And I think it's important to note that what you said about people being promoted into positions where they might be a great salesman, but they're not a great manager, and you get promoted into that. You're not just naturally born knowing how to do that. So it's great to have that mentorship.
Yeah, I think, and we'll have mentors. We'll get where we are, and I think that's part of the stress thing you talk about is to find somebody who you can confide in, who you can talk to, you can vent with, and just doesn't become hallway fodder when you talk about this. Somebody when you talk about stuff, you can rely on them. So I think then we'll talk a little bit about kind of dark behavior in teams a little bit. We'll talk some about that. The idea of groupthink, and then false agreement. And false agreement is kind of interesting. When you get to people will be like, they'll agree in a meeting, and then afterwards they'll complain about what they just agreed to.
Yeah, experience that.
I call it, and I probably shouldn't say it, but I call it bathroom bitching.
Yeah, right.
Is what I call it. Because you go to the bathroom, and then people complain about everything they just were a part of and agreed to.
Right.
And there's reasons that happens.
You go to meetings, whether it's a municipal meeting for city council, and then you perform all these necessary duties. You follow Robert's Rules of Order. You go through the consent agenda. You do all this stuff. And then where does the actual meet and the problem solving happen?
The parking lot.
It happens in the parking lot. You don't believe me?
No, it's
go to
true.
City Hall after a council meeting and see how many little huddles are going on.
Do you
out there.
remember, Andy, a long time ago, years ago, you and I were talking about opening a bar and calling it Sidebar?
Sidebar.
Where people can just go and talk about their meetings, and it didn't happen, but...
That's an interesting approach.
I think we have here at Grow Clinton, we have a very dynamic and versatile board, and we don't see a lot of that. No. But I've been part of groups, whether it's a board or a committee or a commission, where everybody sits there and agrees. You walk out, you shake hands. Next thing you know, you go find your buddy, you sit there and you complain about everything you did and how nothing's changing, but you don't voice that concern during the actual meeting.
Turns into Clicksville.
God forbid you share information.
And I think you have that because it's lack of trust.
Yeah.
You're right.
Because people don't open, you don't feel comfortable saying what needs to be said and that sort of thing. So you're like, and people, it's the risk of saying something versus the risk of saying nothing. Yeah. So the risk of saying something's too great, then you're going to say nothing but complain about it with people who will.
That doesn't help, though, does it?
It
doesn't help anything.
No, it makes it terrible.
Gallup, I'm a huge fan of their work, and they put out Strengths Finder, which I absolutely love. But they have a whole thing on leadership development, and specifically leaders engaging their followers, and they have determined through their various surveys that they do, millions of surveys, that trust, compassion, stability, and hope are the 4 things that a follower wants in a workplace and out of their leader. Trust, I can trust you. Stability, it's not a Chicken Little scenario where the sky's falling every single day. Yeah. Compassion, understanding that people are human beings and have a life outside of the 4 walls of your workplace. And then obviously hope. Because if you have no hope that your organization is going to thrive, what's the point?
Yeah. So, Charlie, what would you say? I know it doesn't boil down to just one thing, but what would you say is one of the most important things for being a leader?
I mean, I think it's integrity, and I think integrity is, first of all, do your words and your actions connect? Yeah. Yep. Do you say one thing but behave a different way? That causes people more trouble than anything, because I don't trust you because you say something but you behave a different way. I think that's more, that causes people.
In the military, we used to say it's doing the right thing when nobody's looking.
Yeah,
right.
That's
if you walk past a piece of trash and you realize you're 5 feet from a trash receptacle, Do you pick up the trash and put it in the garbage can, or do you just walk past it and kick it out of your way?
Yeah.
That's a good indication of somebody's integrity.
Yeah, so they'll talk too about the difference between argumentation and aggression. How do you debate versus just yelling at people? Mm-hmm. How does that look at? And then they'll talk a bit about how do you work with these dark leaders? Mm-hmm. How do you work? Because I think that's more, we see these people, but what do we do about it? How do we work with these folks? How do we try to be productive as we can? And then they'll talk about, they get towards the end, they'll talk about some empowerment techniques that kind of talk about, spinning off how do we deal with these people, how empowering techniques and how good leaders build good teams, so it ends up. But it's really something that people just don't want to talk about, some of these sort of dysfunctional. One of the best books I've read is 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. Mm-hmm. You want to read a good book. It's a lady who takes over this really, really dysfunctional team and how the trials and tribulations, anxieties, and everything that comes to it. It's a good book, and it's pretty good read in a couple hours, but it's really cool. And it's got a little quiz at the back if you want to, where your team can take it and see where they might be dysfunctional.
And people don't want to talk about it, but it's so there. It's so there, though. I mean, all over the place.
Yeah, and that's the dark side. I think people just don't want to talk about it. We don't want to talk about this side. We want to talk about this other side.
Right, the other side.
But it's hard to get. How do you get to this side if you don't manage this side? Right. They're not mutually exclusive events.
All right, Charlie, we're going to zip this up and move on to part 3 next month.
Yes.
Which I'm very excited about as well. So, again, this episode's been all about Leadership Unlocked. Part 2 is coming up February 19th, 2 to 3 p.m. Again, you can register. Go to growclinton.com. If you got any questions and you want to register and you can't find it online, 242-5702. Again, 563-242-5702 to register. You can participate with your cheeks in a seat here in our office at 721 South 2nd Street, or you can participate online. Charlie, thank you so much for being with us again, and I look forward to having more in-depth leadership-focused conversations next month.
We got it. Glad to be here.
Jenny?
Yes.
You have a great rest of your week, okay?
You too.
Go Birds.
Go Birds.
Go Birds.
Ooh, yeah.
I'm going to be in trouble.
Actually, I just I bought a Jalen Hurts Super Bowl champion Funko Pop.
Did you?
Online
yes.
today.
Nice.
So that's going to be resting right here in front of the table
Cool.
in our podcast studio. It's going to join Louis
Nice.
the Lumber King here.
He earned it. He
yes,
earned a spot
yes,
next
he
to
did.
Louis.
That's right. All right, everybody. Well, thank you so much for listening to another episode of the Grow Clinton podcast. We have several interviews in the hopper this week.
Yes, we do. I can't even remember. There's so many.
Yeah, so I'm very excited about the success of the show. It does not happen without your support. Again, growclinton.com if you want more information and you want to listen to our past episodes. My name's Andy Sikolovich, and I'll talk to you guys soon. See ya. Thank you for listening to the Grow Clinton podcast. Be sure to subscribe and follow us on all your socials. Until next time, see ya. All right, we are still live, so if anybody wants the bloopers after the fact, this is a good time to watch. Great episode, Charlie. Thank you so much for being with us.
My pleasure.
I always enjoy your insights, and I can talk about leadership all the time.
All day.
Keep fighting the good fight.
That's
right. All right, here, let me click this button so we can go off our live broadcast. Thank you for watching, everybody. See ya.